So today we got another kind of double suggestion merged together. So DDS878 mentioned that they wanted to see some landscapes. And so I was thinking about perspective, and then I remembered a comment I got recently on the other perspective video I did that didn't really go as well as I wanted. Charles Noack 6829 mentioned that the perspective was a little off on the last one, so I'm going to redo it, try and redeem myself, and try and make this one look better than before. So DDS and Charles, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope everyone else enjoys it, so let's give it a go. Right, so we're doing 2-point perspective, which is basically 1 point over here and 1 point over here on the horizon. And it's pretty cool because you can draw, if you do like a house, you just draw vertical lines anywhere on here. And then you take the line and you draw it to the point. And then it gives you that kind of cool looking 3D perspective. So you could just draw this yourself, you could make your own design, but just for the ease of it being simpler for people who are doing it for the first time, I think it's worth making a template. So I've put some graphite on the back. We're now going to just trace the design out. It's going to be a bit different from our other carvings that I've done, in that there's not going to be a definitive border around the outside. So rather what I'm going to do is just take a V-chisel and surround everything, and then cut down everything in the background so that these details are further forwards. Right, so we're only going to take a fairly thin layer off the front and a thicker layer off the back, so that this barn kind of sticks out a bit more, since it's kind of the main feature. And the reason that everything is kind of simple, you might think this barn looks really plain and everything, and the wagon as well, is because I'm going to add kind of cladding or shiplap, whatever you want to call it, to the sides, and maybe some, some other little details. But for the template, I felt it just wasn't important to have all that stuff on there because it might be a bit confusing. So let's just start taking this material away. Okay, so I've just drawn my vanishing points back on there to help me figure out where the cladding or the shiplap is on the barn, or the right angles of it at least. So if you don't know where the vanishing points are and you want to find them again, just hold the ruler against one of the straight lines that we've got there, and that will show you where to put the point at the end. Same this way, you do it against the long line of the bottom of the barn, then you can put the point over there. Then that way you can use just move the ruler up along the point and use the line directly to the point to help you get the shiplap or the cladding lines all in the right place. So I promised I was going to keep you up to date with how the auction is going for this carving, and I'm going to show you now. Come with me. So, as you can see, it's currently on £2.37. It ends in 3 days. I started at 99p with no reserve, and I'll keep you updated throughout this video just to see what happens. Now remember the last time I did this, I actually tried to carve an angle on this and then figure out how to carve the roof afterwards. But I think the better way to do it, or at least the way I'm going to do it this time, is that I've kind of carved all the details first, and now I'm going to cut them away a little bit on both edges so they look like they go underneath the roof. So it's going to try and do that now. And then I'll just re-carve the details back on. And if it looks a little weird at the edge here, I'll just come back a little bit and slowly get it back up to the normal level that it was. And I think that'll work better. Now I'm going to show you how a tiny little tool like this can be incredibly useful when doing something like this. So you see all these tiny gaps in here? I wanted to make them lower and keep them flat, so I couldn't just use something like a really small gouge, even though this wouldn't fit in there, but if you had a really small one, you know. I mean, I guess you could, but it would leave curved edges, and I want this to be flat all the way through, so this is basically just it's kind of just like a little piece of metal that's been battered and then made into a chisel at the end. I got it in a pack of chisels that were handmade on eBay. Some guy was just selling, I don't know if it's like his dad's old tools or something, but I had a little box. I'll take a picture of it and put it on the screen so you can see, of all these old like handmade chisels. And this was one of the ones in there. And as you can see, it's like super duper useful for getting in a place like this and getting all this stuff out of here. And sometimes I use it as a scraper so I can like do this, you know, scrape this kind of material away, make it nice and smooth in there. And I've used it on so many occasions to help me clean up so many little areas. So yeah, little chisel like that can be super helpful. So this time round with the perspective, unlike the last one, I'm not really focusing on making big like planes like this to make it look like it's really diving into the wood. But instead we're just using the 2 points of the perspective to our advantage, basically the drawing, right? And all I'm doing is lowering it down on the edges like I showed you before, and then, you know, making things appear like they're going under other stuff. Another thing I'm doing to help is by taking out the background behind the objects and leaving the foreground kind of more flat, right? So I've done it here with this barn. You can see the background has been taken out there. And I've done it here with this fence as well. I've taken out a lot of the background so this fence sticks out a lot further forward. I will take some of this area away and texture it probably, but I won't make it as deep as I've made this background here. And hopefully that'll give us a sense of kind of you know, the image coming out towards us in this direction. So I've been waiting for this big post to show you how I'm doing the posts. Basically I'm going to do the same as we've done to these two, you know, surround all of it, cut out the background. But then you might be able to see on this one the kind of angles that I've done. So what I'm going to do is cut the wood that way and then cut the wood that way. So we have a a bit of an angle in there. Nothing really crazy. I don't want to go too deep or anything. We're doing a really shallow relief here, but I just want to give enough of indication so when the light hits it in the right way, as you can see on here, you can see two different kinds of light bouncing off it there, so it gives you the illusion that it's, you know, a squarish type thing, which it is in a way, but you know, it's not that square, it's quite shallow. So let's try and do that with this post now. So what I've done with these tyres is just widen them a bit from the drawing that I made, so I didn't really know what kind of wheels I was going to do, but I made them more sort of modern tyres rather than wagon wheels, because I think if I do wagon wheels it's going to be really hard to cut out all the little bits and make it look any good, so I thought I'd do a more modern style. Then what I'm going to do is make like kind of planks on here that follow all the way around and on there. But first we'll start by making these tyres stick further out than the rest of this. Not by very much, just a little bit, kind of like this, just to give us some kind of distance. Okay, so doing the beehive is going to be pretty similar to how we did the barn. And then after that, I just have to kind of use a few different gouges to make this land look like it's going backwards. So it's like, you know, there's the foreground is here and the background is there. And to do that, what I'm going to do is make the gouge lines bigger here, like take out larger scoops. And in the background, take out smaller scoops. So we're kind of fading back from big to small. And hopefully that'll make it look like it's going backwards, give it a bit more depth. You know what? I thought the barn was the main object in this image, like the thing that we created the carving for the barn, right? But the more I look at it, the more I think this old rickety post with these random bits of wood coming out is actually kind of the main feature of the object, of the carving. So what I'm going to do is I've drawn some really faint lines of grain on there, you probably can't see them, and I'm going to scratch them in with this tiny little chisel, and then try and put a couple of little round marks in there, maybe with like the point of a nail or something, that look like kind of nail holes or bits of nails sticking in. Just to give something else to this post, because it's just having it plain is not sitting right with me. So let's add something to that. So another eBay listing update, but it is not a good update, I'm afraid. One of my patrons, Danita and Whittle Owl, has let me know that people outside of the UK can't bid on it because the postage is not set up to be shipped internationally, even though I distinctly remember checking it at least 2 times because I knew it might be an issue. So I contacted an eBay agent and they said, yeah, no, he didn't turn it on. I personally think it's a bug, but now since there's bids on it, I can't change it. So that's just how it is, but whatever. Next time we'll do it better, and at the end of this video we'll put another one up for sale, and I will make sure it can be shipped internationally. Alright, let's put oil on the carving. So while I'm oiling this up with some boiled linseed oil, I just want to say thanks to my supporters, and particularly Bernadette Dubouf, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, who has joined as a YouTube member at the Team Wood Chips tier. So thanks a lot, Bernadette. So an update on the eBay listing. Despite the issues with postage, we're up to £10 now, with 5 hours and 38 minutes to go. So that is the much better perspective, or 2-point perspective relief carving finished. Hopefully you agree with me that it is far better than the previous attempt. I'll put that up on the screen though so you can have a look at it. But now let's see how that auction finishes off. We'll watch like the last minute because that's usually quite an interesting part, and then I'll tell you which carving is up for sale next, and I will make sure it can be sent internationally. Right, let's do it. Okay, so it's going to fluctuate between £16 and 17 something at the moment because the 17 something is with the eBay buyer protection. So in the last 30 seconds, usually it should go up a little bit at this time, but who knows, because you know we're only selling to the UK, and honestly, I think most of my audience is in the US, so yeah, it's a bit of a bummer on that one. But anyway, we're going to announce the next carving at the end of this, and we'll see which one it's going to be, and then I'll make sure that it's available in the US. 10 seconds left, still nothing else. Is someone going to come in at the last second? Is it going to stay exactly the same? I have no idea. We're now about to find out. No, it stayed exactly the same. So someone's got that carving for, it says 1736, which I guess is what they have to pay. So that is what someone's got that carving for. I will just refresh just in case to make sure. Yes, 1736. All right, let's talk about the next one. So the flower carving is taking the long journey from the UK over to the UK. And the next one that I'm going to put on eBay is the moth carving. I think this might have been, it may have been the second one that we've done since I've been doing these relief carving tutorials. I think it was the second one, I'm not 100%, but anyway, I'm going to make sure it's available internationally, and it will start at 99p, just like the other one. Let's see if we can get more than, what was that one, £16, £17, see if we can get more than that this time. Alright, thanks very much for watching guys, appreciate you as always, and I'll catch you next time.